You're listening to the Real Estate Entrepreneur Podcast with Terrence Murphy, where we cover sales, investing, and entrepreneurship with an emphasis on real estate. Each podcast, Terrence and his guests will bring you informative and inspiring information within the real estate industry.
Welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Entrepreneur with Terrence Murphy. I always start off every episode with a quote, and this one's pretty short, but it says, if you feel burnout setting in, if you feel demoralized and exhausted, it's best for the sake of everyone to withdraw and restore yourself. The point is to have a long-term perspective. So Dalai Lama, I mean, as entrepreneurs, we just keep going, we keep running, we keep pushing, and we got to make sure mental health and mental wellness and all those things are taken care of. So I just want to encourage the audience. But let's jump into my guest today. Cody Bjugan has been a key player in 30 development projects, developing 2,300 lots/units from raw dirt to create $920 million in revenue from residential development. Welcome him to the show today.
Hey man, appreciate you having me. I love that quote, by the way. It, I think we're always chasing, and sometimes you need to just be still, be silent, and I'm a believer in Jesus, right? So those moments really allow the Lord to speak to me, and just my time in prayer every day. It's really what keeps me going, man. It keeps me energized. And I think we need to find that balance, right? Because our mental health as entrepreneurs, anxiety and depression and burnout and stress, those are all real things. And if we don't take care of ourselves, how can we expect to be the best for our business, for our wife, for our kids, for our friends? So that was a great quote. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, and nobody's talking about that, right? Nobody's talking about mental health. Nobody's talking about, health and wellness, resting, hydrating, spirituality, working out. Like everybody's just flashing the private jets and the cars and the suits and and it's like, that's all good, man, but show us what you're really about. And I think that's something that, man, has been a new passion for me, just to be real and genuine with people.
I think a real man is a man that knows how to be vulnerable and transparent and be authentic to who they are.
For sure.
And I'm on my personal journey. I started it about 4 years ago, and that's the area I'm constantly focused on and trying to grow. Because as men, especially as men, and I'm not trying to dismiss women, but as men, we're taught to be strong, right? And just deal with it, suck it up, and we're almost taught to be non-emotional and to not be raw. And I think that leads us down a path that can often get us in trouble.
For sure.
And yeah, it's good stuff.
Well, like you said, man, I'm also obviously a believer in Christ, and you learn a lot being on that journey with him. And it's a beautiful thing. It's like dew on the ground every day. His grace renews, right? And I always tell people there's a thin line in walking with Christ. Condemnation is on one side, grace is on the other. That line in the middle is very thin, and really understanding the balance of when am I condemning myself, right? Because I messed up or I did this or did that, and you just feel that burden. But then walking in grace and really knowing that God loves you, but then I've seen people walk in grace too much, right? It's like, well, he loves me, so I'm just gonna do whatever I want to do. It's like, man, there's a balance there. And I always say that's the same balance we got to have in life with being entrepreneurs. You want to chase, you want to go, you want to achieve, but what kind of impact are you making? What kind of legacy are you leaving? And let's jump into that, man. So if people were to talk about Cody when he's called home to be with the Lord, what would you want your kids to say and people to say about you?
Dude, you're speaking my language. I don't know if you went and checked out my website or what.
I didn't, bro. And honestly,
my saying,
I never asked that question. I've never asked that question on the podcast. I'm just following the spirit.
Yeah,
bro.
Well, I love it. So my saying is purpose, impact, fulfillment. It's PIF, P-I-F. And, through finding our purpose, we have impact. Through impact, we have fulfillment. The reality is, I'm going to say something that I've never said on a podcast. I say all the time, fulfillment is not possible without impact. I'm going to take it a step further, and something that I even read in my devotion this morning, and I talked to my wife about this morning, and it's something I truly believe, and I say to those somewhat close to me because I don't want to offend, but based on rolling with this conversation, just being authentic, the other thing that I think absolutely is a must in order to have true fulfillment is Jesus. I don't think you can have true fulfillment without Jesus. It's truly what I believe. But I usually don't, because I don't want to offend, right? So I usually won't say that. But since we're on a roll, I'll just throw that in there that I usually won't throw in on a podcast interview. I'll just talk about impact. But I will tell you, I've had a lot of failures, a lot of challenges, trials, tribulations. Lord had to get my attention many times. I think a lot of times I've been stubborn with the Lord, and he's had to put me on my knees in a big, big way. And so related to legacy, I can tell you that I would not have been proud of my legacy for most of my life up to this point, because I was just way out of whack or way out of balance in one way or another. We hear sometimes about, I'll tell you one thing I do believe. I can go make all the money in the world and be worth 8, 9 figures, whatever, 10 figures. But man, if I don't have a spiritual life, or if I'm out of shape, or my wife doesn't love me, or I have no friends, or my kids can't stand, like at the end of the day, you failed, right? I don't care how much money you made. You got to try to stay above the line in all these areas of your life. Right. Yep. So I've really been focused on that the last 4 years. Up until then, I didn't have mentors. I didn't do courses, didn't do masterminds, didn't do podcasts, did nothing. And today, like one of the shirts I wear is "What's your legacy?" Another shirt I wear is PIF, Purpose, Impact, Fulfillment. Another shirt I wear is Purpose Driven Life. Another shirt I wear is Believe, Action, Faith. Right. So in anything, in business or in your walk with the Lord, or I don't care what element of life it is, first you got to believe in it. Right. Whatever it is, including yourself, you got to believe in yourself. Right. You got to empower yourself. You gotta give yourself permission. You got to see yourself as worthy. So you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, that it's possible. And then often, in the spiritual life, in the church, they go right from believe to faith. And I'll tell you, I heard a sermon, and I'm not trying to preach on this podcast, but it's just flowing. So let me keep going. I heard in a church service in 2016. I grew up. I was saved when I was 8 years old. Heard a million sermons. Heard a sermon in 2016 that I'd never heard before, and it was an aha moment in my life. And that sermon was, just because you believe doesn't mean you have faith. That believe and faith are two different things. And at that moment, I realized I was a control freak, and that I needed to exercise my faith muscle more, that I needed to realize. And through that, it was an aha light bulb moment. And whenever I find myself falling out of peace, I realize I need to get my faith in check, right? Because through my faith, I find peace. But what happens is a lot of spiritual people or religious people, they talk about believe in faith, but they skip over a big part, to me, one of the 3 steps. And the step that's in the middle is action. So I have another shirt that I wear that says believe, action, faith. So whatever it is you're trying to accomplish in your entrepreneur path, or in your spiritual life, or with whatever in your life, you got to believe in it. You got to take the necessary action. And then you got to realize at the end of the day, you got to have faith. You're not in control of everything. And I have this saying, you can hoe your field all day long, but at the end of the day, the vegetation's not up to you. So anyways, then what do I want my legacy to be? I want my legacy to be all those things, right? That I truly had a positive impact, right? And that I was striving to be successful in all areas of my life. And that, and quite frankly, part of that legacy is that I wasn't always that way, and that I had a pivoting moment in my life, and that people can change. And that I was, I was proof of that. So
love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
I know that was a very long answer to your question, but it allowed me to roll into some very important things in my life.
No, it's great, man. I think in this day and age, people don't listen anymore. And so I'm a really active listener. Even when I have conversations, there's just like a weird pause sometimes, because I'm giving what you just told me space to breathe. And I always say people listen to reply, they don't listen to actually hear you anymore. And so for me, I'm listening to hear you versus just waiting on you to be done so I can just jump in the conversation. And I'm teaching my kids that right now. I'm like, I didn't even finish my sentence and you're already responding. So how do you even have time to digest what I'm saying? So no, man, that's great, man. And as we pivot into real estate, how did you get into real estate? Like what led you that direction? Like how did you become a real estate entrepreneur?
Yeah. So I'll tell you that, well, first let me say there's a picture behind me and a clock behind me. And that's my grandfather, who was a very large land developer, home builder. But he passed when I was 15. So I wasn't able to really get a lot from him. And then that's his clock that was given to me when he was the president of the HBA, the Home Builders Association. So I'm able to pull inspiration from that. And that's why that's behind me. But what happened is I got my high school girlfriend pregnant. Thought I was going off to college, and said I went right into the workforce. I went for the union. The reason I went into the flooring union specifically, or union actually in general, is after 3 months you qualify for health insurance, right? And I needed to be able to pay for this baby that was on its way. So I got married 2 months out of high school. Had our baby 3 months out of high school, but I was in the trades at that point, right? I was doing floors and counters, and ended up leaving the union, going and working at another company. And, I was driven, workaholic, this, that, and the other, lots of mistakes. But I became friends with a lot of home builders, land developers, and I was just inspired by their lifestyle, their businesses, quite frankly, their income. And one thing led to another. And there was a big name real estate agent actually in town that everybody knew. And somehow him and I rubbed elbows, and one thing led to another. And he knew I was thinking about leaving the flooring industry. Got at a point where I had capped out in that flooring industry, where I either needed to go start my own store or go do something else. And decided I was going to go do something else. And he asked me if I'd partner with him, and we were partners for a couple of years. And then from there, after that 2-year period, then at that point I was, kind of doing my own thing. But it was just, I wanted more, man. I wanted, self-employment was a part of my vision. And it hasn't all been peaches and cream, I can tell you that, but I have never regretted a single day of, getting away from the W-2.
No, I love it.
So that happened in 2002, to be more specific. And in 2002, I was 24 years old. So that's when I started my home building and land development company.
Love it, man. So with your development, so you're doing ground up development. Let's talk through that. What does that look like for you when you're looking at a piece of dirt, right? Because that's what everybody wants to know. Like, how can I replicate what you're doing myself? Can you give me some tools? Like, walk me through what that looks like.
So, and my specific model has changed over the years. It's been 20 years now. And so, and we kind of pivot based upon the opportunity in the marketplace. So to give you an idea, we very much focused on off market. So, we do, most of our deals are off market for a few reasons. One is I'm in control of my own deal flow at that point. And two is I'm not competing against everybody else and their mom to get a deal that's on market. So, and what we found in our space is most of the time an on market deal. And let me stop right there. What we specialize in is raw land. Okay. And they could have a house on it or whatever, but raw land that has development potential. That's what we specialize in. Okay. And so, over the years, we've done the off-market prospecting. We've done the entitlements, the approval process, land use approval, preliminary, whatever you want to call it. And then we've done the horizontal, infrastructure development, the land development, and then we've also built the houses. Okay. And I will tell you, in 2007, how old was I? I was like 28, 29. I think it was 28. I lost 90% of my net worth. And so I went from being worth, I think I was worth around 20 million to being worth 2 million. And I'm not saying that to be flashy. I'm sharing that just so you can understand. And the reason I lost all that net worth was because I was in the middle of developing all these projects, doing the horizontal construction,
Wow.
right? The land development, and then the market turned. And the reality is, it doesn't matter that I had those finished lots pre-sold, which is a finished lot is, I go in and I'm building a residential single family neighborhood. And then when I'm done putting in the utilities and the streets and the street lights and everything, you end up with what's called a finished lot. And so it's these plats, these individual tax lots or legal lots of record that then individual homes can be built on those lots. And so,
Yep.
but if the market takes a major turn in the middle of doing horizontal development,
You're stuck with the inventory.
more than likely, you're stuck with this inventory, your buyer's walking. And, I can think of a deal I was doing in Idaho during that time where I think the lots were worth like 1/3. By the time I was done with the project, they were worth 1/3 what I had them pre-sold for. And so you're in a tough spot. And so my model today is I quit building homes about 6 years ago, and I quit actually doing the land development, doing all that construction. I stopped doing that about 2 years ago. And so what I'm doing now is I specialize. We're just doing the off-market acquisitions, putting the deals together, running them through the approval process,
and then
getting them in a pretty packaged up on all nice in a pretty little bow. And then we're exiting at approvals mainly to public companies. And we're doing double closing, simultaneous closings. Because, one thing I'll tell you is that if you're going to play in this space, it's not like a normal real estate transaction from a standpoint that these aren't 30-day, 60-day closings. Is that if you're going to pay development value for land, you got to make sure it's developable, and it's not developable until it's approved. And often the question I get, and that could be 6 months to a year and a half to get through that process, depending on where in the country and what jurisdiction. And the common question I get after I say that is, how do you get a seller to wait that long? Well, it's really simple. I have another model where I land bank, right? So I can come in and I can pay you as is value for your land right now, whatever it's worth today. Okay. And I'll close quickly. Or if you want, 5, 8, 10x that, wait and let me close when I get the approval in place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. You pick.
Yep.
Right. And I've never had a seller yet say, I'll take the quick payday.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They always want the additional. So then what we do is double closing, simultaneous closings, right? My buyer closes with me. I close with the seller. I make my scrape out of the middle. And I got to tell you, these publics, because it used to be, back in the day, we'd do projects that were 2, 3, 4 lots. Today our projects are 100 to, 500 lots. And so, but these guys are ecstatic because in major markets throughout the country now, most of the big boys do what's called self-develop. Yep. And they haven't always done that where they self-develop. And so they'll come in and buy the project from me. They'll do the horizontal land development for very little profit margin just to have the lots to build on because of supply and demand. Is that if they're not willing to self-develop and pay a premium at approvals, it's gonna affect their deal flow in a big way.
Yeah, they can't get inventory.
To a point now where, these guys, exactly. These guys now, they don't even really look at what their profit is on the land development. They're just looking at what their margin is or profit is on the house sale, right? And so for me, it makes no sense in this market for me to take on the risk of horizontal land development when I can exit at approval and my client's still ecstatic and I'm making the type of margins or profit that I am.
Man, I love the pivot, bro. So you feel like, with the 2007 and you got stuck with the inventory, how did you slowly work your way through that balance sheet? Did you just liquidate the properties? Did you, how did you get back to a place to where when the market came back, you were ready to get back in the game?
Yeah, good question. So it was a combination of things. One is, so the reason I didn't go bankrupt like most of my buddies is not because I was any smarter than any of them. What happened is that at that time my main business was up in the Pacific Northwest, and I was in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. And in Oregon and Washington, they have what's called the urban growth boundary. And that's kind of a line they draw around the city. And they say you can only develop within this circle or this boundary, right? And so it controls supply, right? It's not urban sprawl. Where in Boise, they don't have that. And so they can easily oversupply the market. And so what happened is Idaho got hit about a year before Oregon, Washington did. So when I took a whooping in Oregon or in Idaho, I was able to come over to where my main business was in Oregon and Washington and just start getting out of deals, right? And cutting my losses.
Yep. Because you saw
and
it coming.
that's really, so that's really what saved me. One thing I'm very thankful of through all of that is I paid every one of my contractors. I paid every one of my subs. And I was writing personal checks to my company to make sure those guys got paid, because at the end of the day, I hired them. You know, I saw a lot of guys that I didn't necessarily appreciate how they handled those times, because what they would do is they wouldn't write any personal checks back to the business. And so they're still living, you know, high on the hog while all their subs were going broke and going under. And I'm thankful I made that decision. But, you know, the biggest mistake I made in that downturn, well, one, I learned a lot losing it, man. I learned way more losing it than I ever did making it.
That's what I
It
would
really
say.
humbled me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it very much humbled me. You know, I was in the 20s worth all this money. I was a snot-nosed punk. I thought I was the stuff, and I was very humbled. But the biggest mistake I made in that downturn, because I didn't have mentors, I didn't have coaches, I didn't have masterminds, I didn't have any of this stuff. What I should have been doing is why I was strategically, you know, keeping myself keeping us above water at the same time as I was doing that. And I should have also been putting together a business model to go capture all the opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. I should have been pulling in investors, you know, based upon my experience and my expertise, because what I saw coming out of that, the guys that were strategically buying during that, you know, we're all making a lot of money right now. And there's a lot of people right now thinking they're really, really smart. And unfortunately, I hate to bust your bubble, but it's not that you're really, really smart. It's just the money's making you a lot of money, right? Is that there's a lot of people out there thinking their underwriting's phenomenal and this, that, and the other, and it's really not. It's just the market is making them a lot of money. And so it's great. We're all making money, but where real wealth is generated is when you're buying in a downturn.
Yeah, buying it.
And Lord willing, do I think we have the Great Recession coming like we did in 07, 08? No, I don't. Are we scaling as a company more than we ever have? Yes, we are. And we plan on scaling, as much as we can between now and 25. I mean, do I think we have a correction coming? Sure. Great Recession? No. But do I think there's going to be great opportunity when the market, has a little reality check? I do. And Lord willing, this time
You'll be
I
ready.
will be able to go capture those opportunities. That's right.
Yeah,
That's
you'll be
right.
ready. Yeah, that's good wisdom, bro. It's a lot of good wisdom. No, that's good, man. I think, you're just doing residential, no multifamily, no commercial. You just residential lots, in and out. Is it more of like a production, the Lennar Homes, the David Weekley, those kind of production builders buying? Is that your end user?
So first question is, so our model, because I have my development company called Allied Development, and then I have an online education company that I started in 2019 called VestRight. And so we teach literally exactly what we do. We have numerous courses. We have courses for real estate agents. We have courses for those that just want to go find deals, bring them to us, partner with us. We'll capitalize them, we'll run them, we'll sell them. And then we have another course that we literally teach you everything we do, and you just go do it on your own. But the beautiful thing about dirt, right, is here's the reality. Dirt controls the deal. So no matter what the asset class is, if you're going buying existing complexes or whatever, at the end of the day, all of those deals, all of that real estate started with the dirt, right?
Yep.
So dirt controls the deal. And so my business model really works no matter what asset class you're in. I don't care if we're talking about retail, multifamily, storage, single family. It doesn't matter to me. The off-market prospecting and the approval process, right, is literally 90% the same no matter what the asset class. So, I've done some multifamily stuff. I'm working on some storage stuff right now. But more with the multifamily and storage, I don't just take our plan there for 22 is that we're not just making these big paydays at approval. Those types of assets, we plan on actually just not taking our ordinary payday, our ordinary income payday, or only taking a portion of it and rolling the rest of it into the asset itself to where it's passive mailbox residual money for us, where we're getting a piece of all those deals. And so, because originally I was going to go be an operator or a syndicator back in 2020, and then COVID hit and I shut that model down. But it was kind of a pain because I was having to go do a complete new business model. And then we realized, well, no, let's just continue to do what we do. We're just dirt guys, right? So, but we can do dirt deals in different asset classes and roll our experience, right, in our sweat equity into these deals and create passive income that way. So, but as far as Lennar, and you mentioned David Weekly and all those guys, yes, the publics, those publicly traded large production builders are mainly the only builders I sell to. And that's mainly because of the size of my projects.
Yeah, they can
right.
Take it
is
down.
that, yeah, they can take it down. And, sometimes the locals and regionals, they just can't compete with those guys. Right. Cause those guys, their model is built on scale, right, and volume, and to where they oftentimes with my business model can't compete with the publics.
No, man, that's good, man. That's really good wisdom. So
but if I was doing smaller deals like I used to, right?
I was going to say, bring me in
smaller deals.
That's when they put me in the game.
I used to do smaller deals, and it was so much fun to sell to the locals, right? It was, I was helping keep them alive and keep their businesses going, but we're just to a point where we just don't do those size projects anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, brother. So we got this one section. It's called Coming In Hot. I'm going to throw some rapid questions at you, and you just hit them real quick. One word,
okay,
one sentence. And it just kind of sets the stage on the next kind of segment we're going to go into. And then I got a couple more questions, man. All right, so you ready? So
Yep.
Do you have a college degree or no degree? Yes or no?
No degree.
What was your greatest challenge as a child?
As a child?
Mm-hmm.
Learning how to filter through my father's unhealthy behavior and influence.
Yeah, it's good wisdom, bro. What was your first attempt at entrepreneurship?
12 years old, there was a flea market in my small little town, and I used to go down there and set up a booth on the weekends and buy, sell, and trade sports cards.
I had a trade card business at 12 too, man. All right. It's crazy. Life is crazy. What's the worst real estate advice you've ever gotten or received?
I'll turn it to more business advice, which, I used in real estate, is figure out your strengths and weaknesses and focus on your weaknesses so you become more well-rounded. It's worst advice ever. Figure out your strengths and weaknesses, throw your weaknesses out the door, and focus on your strengths.
Yep. Double down on your driver, Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
And then who is the one person that made the biggest impact on your career?
It would be the man that first made me realize my gifts and see the opportunity and potential I had, which is a gentleman by the name of Tim Aldinger, which is the one that allowed me to run his flooring business at a very, very young age.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Congrats, bro. I didn't even time him, Kyle. Oh, you got him? All right. Was that 1 minute, 27 seconds? I should have told you, bro. We've been doing this challenge like a 40-yard dash. And you get to 5 questions, and we've been keeping up. We're going to start ranking our guests on who has the fastest time. I didn't even tell him, man.
I could have done it in 30 seconds if I would have known that.
I set you up.
I just would have given you 1 word.
Bro, I set you up.
I just would have said Tim Aldinger.
I set you up, man. Set you up. I didn't even tell him. I got to do better, Kyle. All right. That was fun, though. All right. So a couple more questions, brother. What would you say if I want to get into development? What would be the top three things you would tell me I need to be working on or doing if I wanted to start right now from scratch?
Man, I'm not trying to pitch you, but the first thing I'd tell you to do is go to my education company, because I'm the only one that I know of that is teaching this stuff. But I don't teach the technical side. I don't teach the actual construction portion of it. That's technical, and there's all kinds of information out there. And quite frankly, I don't have any specialized experience or any, I just don't, I can't drop any golden nuggets on you related to that technical side. But as far as off-market acquisitions and entitlements, I'm the only one that I know of teaching it, and it is absolutely, I'm not trying to pitch you, but it is absolutely where I would start.
There it is.
100%.
Love it.
That's
Love
it.
Hey, that's it. So what is one of the things that you feel like the real estate market the biggest opportunity that's coming that people aren't paying attention to? It's not on their radar.
Gosh, I don't mean to be self-absorbed and self-focused, but I truly believe it's my model, right?
Yeah.
Like, the type of money I'm making, it's off the charts, right? Like, I have a goal to be a part of creating 1,000 millionaires. And I have people going through my course that are, they're there or they're close to being there. And there's not a lot of models out there that can happen at the pace that mine can. Here's the reality. Everybody and their mom right now is a house wholesaler. Sorry if you're a house wholesaler. I'm not trying to offend you, but thousands of people have been taught that model. Thousands, hundreds of people are teaching the model.
Yep.
And it's low-hanging fruit and everybody's doing it. There's one on every street corner. And here's the reality. Apartment syndicators are right behind them. Like everybody and their mom's an apartment syndicator right now. But when you start talking about dirt and land and all that, like no one knows it. No one understands it. It's truly a blue ocean opportunity.
It is.
And it's no one's fault. It's just, it's not taught. Right. And people think the barrier of entry is really high, right? You had to have money given to you, or you had to have a business handed to you, or you had to go get a degree, whatever. And it's just not the truth. Like our model, you can get in with none of that.
Yeah.
And it's just, I hate to say it, but it's my model.
No, I agree. I'll tell you, it's nothing sexy about it, right? Because I've been developing for 15 years. I'm actually about 250, 275 lots right now in small College Station. Nothing sexy about it. It doesn't get a lot of glitz and glamour, and you have to be patient. Because like you said, this is a 12, 16 month, 18 month project. And, you're driving by every day and the dirt's just sitting there. There's no revenue coming in. So I think that's why it's a blue ocean. You hit it on the head. But people are being forced to look at development now. They have to.
Yeah.
You can't get your hands on anything else. And so I actually started, I cut my teeth in urban development, right around Texas A&M. I was going in, I was 24 years old, and I started buying up houses. I would go in and buy up the whole block. I'd rezone it, replat it, and go vertical. Like you said, you got to extend the sewer line. You got to redo the streets. You got to redo the, run the underground conduit. And that's where I cut my teeth in my early 20s doing development. And now I'm doing neighborhoods and all kind of stuff. Like I'm in Jack Nicklaus golf course communities and whatever. But no, man, you hit it on the head, bro. So I agree. That's good.
Well, thank you, because I really do believe it. And I'm not saying it just because I do it and teach it. I'm saying it because I believe it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because here's the reality. I could take my headquarters in Dallas, where I have my CEO and my team and all that. I live in Scottsdale. The company functions better without me in there. But our team, we can pivot on a dime and go do anything we want in real estate. Anything. And we have the experience and the wherewithal to do literally anything in real estate. And we are committed and excited and disciplined that our model,
is the model.
At least right now, is the model. Because you got opportunities shift in real estate, and so, but right now, I think that's where the opportunity is.
No, I love it, man. So, one other thing I was going to ask, and this is kind of this one's not timed, but so I got 3 quick questions. What's the secret that you have to good time management?
Man, I gotta humbly tell you, I don't know that I'm the best at time management. I have 8 daily habits that I do every day that have nothing to do with my business, but make me a better man and a better leader. And those take me 4 hours a day.
Yep.
And so, but the best thing that helps me with time management is I never let anything probably sit on my desk too long. My desk in my office it looks like I just picked it up, but it always sits this way. And, but I'm also a master delegator, right? Like there's just, I don't have a lot of day-to-day responsibility in my businesses. And so, and I learned that from my father from a standpoint. My father taught me a lot of things of what not to do. And one thing why my father could never get anywhere is because he didn't trust anybody and he couldn't delegate. So he was a house framer or a home builder for a little bit before he got taken under, and he never came back. But he never did have anything of any scale because he had to drive every nail himself. And so I'm definitely a master delegator.
I love it.
Yeah.
So to that point, for someone who's holding on to everything as an entrepreneur, what book, what strategy would you encourage them? What tool would you give them to work on being a better delegator to where they can let go of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably a lot of people have heard of EOS by now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, go read E-Myth, go read Traction, see how to structure your business in a way where you feel comfortable delegating, because there's certain tools in place to make sure you keep a pulse on your business, even though you're not doing it yourself.
Yep. Man, we got a lot in common. Yeah, Gino Wickman's my guy. Traction, Rocket Fuel. What is EOS? Yep. I mean, yeah, and we've incorporated that in all of our businesses. And so, we have 22 businesses that we own and run, and we're investing in another 30. So we're involved in about 50 businesses. But yeah, I mean, in order to have that, like you said, scale, just to be able to see, the VTO and, level 10 meetings, it's been a game changer for us. And we've been doing it now for about 5-6 years. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah. So what's your secret to good branding? Like, as you build this brand, like you said, because I bet at this point, your deal flow, people are calling you guys saying, hey, here's a tract of land. Would you be interested?
Yeah. I don't classify myself as a marketer, but one thing I think that has drawn people to my brand is they trust me. And so if someone ever asks what book I recommend, I always recommend the book called The Speed of Trust. And trust is the foundation of any relationship. And I've just committed to being authentic to who I am. I've committed to vulnerability, transparency. And, as my team has interviewed, a lot of the students that have been through my Best Right course, because they see ads all the time for all these different courses, right? And a lot of them, why they did my course, it's not sure that they were drawn to the large paydays. They were drawn to my principles and what I stand for. And so to me, that is definitely, that is the core of my brand, 100%.
Good. You took that question, my book question, so that's good. All right, last two. What's your moonshot, right? So I say we have a moonshot. That's like your idea, your dream, your like crazy, audacious, hairy goal that people don't think is possible. What's that moonshot for you? If this could be possible, what is that?
I mean, it would probably be that I was an intricate part, if not the biggest part of, having an impact on others. And the way I've attached kind of a scoreboard to that is that I've generated, that I've been that for 1,000 millionaires, right? It was me that did that. And it's not, the goal isn't related to the money. The goal is related to the impact that I'm able to have on other people.
No, I love it. I literally have a goal to do 500 millionaires. Literally, I've said
there
that.
You go.
It's like the development, the EOS, we need to stay in touch for sure. But yeah, I literally have said it. I said it this year. I said, starting in 2022, January 1, over the next 5 years, I want to produce 500 millionaires. So maybe I need to raise the bar. You're at 1,000. I need to get to 1,000.
I'm not trying to make you look bad.
All right, bro. So final thoughts, man. If you want to leave a final thought for the audience, and then where can people find you?
Yeah. Final thought is just, I'm really, my word for 2022, I have all kinds of final thoughts, but I'll just tell you this. My word for 2022 is to surrender. Okay. That is my word for 22 is surrender. And, I'm not going to go spiritual and talk about Jesus again, but whether you believe in the universe and whatever you believe in, allow things to come to you, right? Like, yes, as entrepreneurs, we're driven and we go and we push, but sometimes it's just stop. And like, you don't always have to be chasing, like allow things to come to you. And that's what's happening. That's my word for 22. And if you want to find me, go to Facebook or And search, Cody Bjugan, CODY, Bjugan, B as in boy, JUGAN. Better yet, if you want to learn more about our space, what we do, what we teach, go to Vestrite, and I'm going to give you a link that I drop on these podcasts, which is Vestrite, VESTRIGHT, vestrite.com/my first name, Cody, CODY, and just go there, check out some content, and if you want to go further and establish a relationship, there's ways to do that. But it's a blue ocean space, and there's we're just thankful to kind of try to bring it to the public as much as we can. So those are the two ways I would suggest checking us out.
Well, man, meeting you, bro, I wanted to let you know I'm proud of you, man, what you're doing. I know God has connected us for a reason, and I want to stay in touch, bro. But really, seriously, man, I'm proud of what you're doing, and just keep knocking them down. And I'll see you at the top, man. You'll have 1,000 millionaires you've created, and I'll create my 500. That's 1,500 together. So
yeah, I love it.
Yeah, let's stay.
And I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, let's stay in touch, bro.
I thank you, and I love it when people use the word proud, and you can tell they mean it. And so I just told my daughter this morning how proud of her I was. And so anyways, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll close with this quote. I said, there's already enough critiques and criticizers. Try being an encourager, And so my whole life, bro, and I say this, like you said, not being arrogant, I've always been successful. I'm always going to be successful. I had one of the most successful car businesses at 12. I had a lawnmower business where I was CPA firms, doctors' offices, ear doctors. I was mowing their yard, mowing their commercial properties. And I've always been successful. And I tell people, no matter what state of mind I'm in, I'm successful. And so when I see other people that have created success through hard work and perseverance and faith, man, how can you not be inspired by it, man? It brings joy to me to see people doing great things, man. And I really mean that, man. So we'll stay in touch, bro.
Sounds good, man. I look forward to it.
All right, brother. See you soon.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of The Real Estate Entrepreneur with Terrence Murphy. Please subscribe on whichever platform you are listening and consider leaving a 5-star review, as that will help us gain traction and continue to bring you knowledge in the real estate industry. For more content, head over to terrencemurphy.com.